Hello and welcome to another quick, simple drawing exercise. Autocad in action. This is in a minute, where we create simple drawings so you could learn Autocad slow and steady. What we're going to do today in this lesson is we're just going to draw a wall in plan view. Very, very simple exercise, and probably the first thing you'll start to do when you start creating your own drawings. Once again, these exercises are going to help you train your hand muscles. You're going to be listening to sound sequence on the keyboard, which is a very good way of understanding how to enhance your memorization for your keyboard shortcuts. And at the end of this lesson, you will be able to draw a wall in plan view. So let's start. So there's a few ways that you could draw lines, and that is the great thing with AutoCAD is you have options. You could try it one way or another way depending on the situation. So the first one is a line command. And if you've seen my other exercises, I've gone through the command of line, but if you're just starting on this one, we're just going to draw a simple line. And all you need to do is remember the shortcut, which is L, and you're going to type L on your keyboard and press the spacebar, which means enter. And it's going to ask you for the first point, and all you do is click anywhere on the screen. Make sure you see your cursor. Okay, click, left click, and you drag your mouse to the right. And my ortho is on, so you want to make sure that is on, which is your function F8, right, on your keyboard. So function F8, and I'll write that down here. Is your ortho command. So if you're wondering why mine is completely horizontal, it's because my ortho is on. So you could press function F8 on keyboards, or if you just press F8, that might also work. So once again, I type L for line, I left click, I move my mouse, I want to go to a 0 degree line, so I go function F8, and I left click. And when I'm done with the command, I just press the spacebar. Very, very simple, right? And you could just practice doing that and listen to the sound sequence of the keyboard. So I'm not going to speak at this moment, you just listen to the sound sequence. Bop, 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 bop. If you understand that, there's a rhythm to this whole thing. And if you try to think about that, you could easily remember the sequence of these commands. Okay, now with a wall, you're going to create a wall thickness, right? Walls are typically 4.5 or 6 inches depending on the thickness of the studs. So for this purpose, we're going to just draw a 4-inch wall, and I'm going to use the command offset, which shortcut is O. So all I'm going to do is type O, press the space bar, and it's going to ask me for an offset. So I'm going to type 4 and the space bar, and then I'm going to move my mouse over the line I want to offset 4 inches. So you should see a square now on your cursor. And I'm going to move my mouse over that, click it, and once I click it, I'm going to move my mouse up and down, above the line and below line, so you could see the line offsetting 4 inches. Do you see that? Okay, so I'm going to just drag it below the line, and when I think that's where I want it, I'm going to left click, and it's going to permanently offset it there. And I'm going to press the space bar to close the command. Okay, so that is a 4-inch wall thickness. Okay, now that's your line command, and you can create walls using this very simple method. If you say, I'm going to draw a 10-foot by 10-foot room, right? I'm going to use my line command, L spacebar, left click, and then when I move my mouse to the right, I'm going to type 10 feet to make a 10-foot line. Then I'm going to, I scrolled out using my scroll wheel. Okay. Now I'm going to drag my mouse down and type 10 feet. I'm going to drag my mouse to the left, type 10 feet. Oops, 10 feet. Okay. And then when I'm ready to close this off, instead of typing 10 feet again, I just type C for close. Close just means I want to end where I started, right? So just type C and spacebar, and you've closed your command. Now you've made a 10-foot by 10-foot square, and now I'm going to offset 4 inches into the space to create my walls. So I'm going to type O spacebar 4 spacebar. Okay, O spacebar 4 spacebar. Once again, listen to that sequence when you type it. And I'm going to just hover over the line and move my mouse to the inside. Click that line, move to the inside. Click that line, move my mouse to the inside. Click this line, move my mouse to the inside. And then when I'm done, I press the spacebar for enter. Now I've created a 4-inch wall thickness, right? And what I'm going to need to do is use another command here, which is the trim, to trim those lines that I don't want to see. Okay. The shortcut for that is TR. So remember that in your arsenal of commands that you're going to be learning. TR is a trim command. It's going to cut these off, right? And it's basically saying you need to use a trim line. I want to use this trim line, so anything that intersects it or goes past it will get chopped off. So if I use this cut line and I select this line here, this is going to disappear, because this is your cut line, or the line that you're using to cut from. So the quickest way to do this is to type the TR command and press the spacebar twice. And spacebar twice means I'm going to use everything as a trim line. So instead of clicking and picking, I'm going to use everything as a trim line, and then I'll just highlight all the things I want to take off. So I do TR spacebar spacebar. Okay, so all you gotta do is remember that. And now I can click these, or I can highlight them, right, by clicking in a blank area and making a fencing command. So I see that color. When you see that color box, go over the line that you want to remove, and that's a faster way of trimming something. So you have 2 ways to also trim a line, and I use the fencing command because it takes longer to mouse over something and it's easier to just fence it. Okay, press the spacebar when you're done so you see your cursor. Right? If you see your cursor, it means you're out of the command. So there you go. You've created a 10 by 10 room with a 4-inch offset wall, and that's your line command. Okay. I'm gonna want you to do a few more of these exercise rooms so you are more familiar with this command, because once again, repeat, repeat, repeat. That is the goal of this. So I want you to draw these room sizes. And let's draw a 2010. Okay, so I want you to draw these rooms: an 8 by 10, a 12 by 15, a 6 by 8, and a 20 by 20 room, and I want you to give it a 4-inch wall thickness. So put that on the side. You could pause this, but I want you to do those exercises, and you're going to be using these commands. Okay, let's move on to the polyline. And what a polyline is a continuous line that you create to form one object when you select it. So for an example, these are just single lines. If I click it, it's one line. So they're separate pieces. So this drawing has 2, 4, 6, 8 lines, 8 objects. With a polyline, until you create the object and you close it, and that becomes one object. So I'm going to create once again a 10 by 10 room using a polyline, and a polyline is continuous. So I'm going to use the command shortcut PL spacebar, left click anywhere on the blank screen, move your mouse to the right, type 10 feet, move your mouse down, type 10 feet, move your mouse to the left, type 10 feet, and when you're done, you type C for close. Now when I move my mouse over this piece and I click it, left click it, it's one piece. It's one object. Now all I need to do is use my offset command to offset a wall 4 inches inside the space. So O spacebar, 4 spacebar, click the object, move your mouse into the square, and left click one more time to permanently place the object 4 inches into the space. Press the space bar one more time so you see your cursors and you're out of the command, and now you have an inside object and an outside object. So now you have a continuous wall that is a P line. So much faster process. And once again, any of these are appropriate depending on how you feel, what the situation is, what you're drawing. Who knows? You know, it's when you begin to memorize all these, you will intuitively feel which is best. So once again, I want you to create these room sizes, and I want you to give it a 6-inch wall thickness. And use a polyline for this one. And pause this and come back to the exercise when you're done. So very, very simple. Alright, the next way of creating this is a multiline, which shortcut you use is ML. Now this one is probably the fastest way, because it creates a double line and your wall thickness at the same time. And it also creates a continuous line. And then it is one object. So these two objects are now one object. So multi-line, you use ML spacebar. It's going to ask you to specify a point, and I want you to click the screen, and it's going to give you a double line. I should start that over because I want you to set that line thickness and say that that wall is 5 inches. Okay. And what you do is you type ML spacebar and the down arrow, and you're going to look for scale, right? And then you're going to type 5 spacebar to create a 5-inch multi-line wall thickness. And then when you now can specify a start point, when you click and drag, you can see that it's created a 5-inch wall thickness. Now we're going to create a 10 by 10 room, so I'm going to type 10 feet, move down, type 10 feet, spacebar, move to the left 10 feet, spacebar, and close, C, spacebar. Now when I highlight it, it's one object. So I can move it as one object. Very simple. But as simple as it is, you will forget it in a day if you don't repeat this. Trust me, I don't do it in a day and I forget exactly what the command structure was. Alright, so create these room sizes with this command, right? And your sequence is ML spacebar, right? And you're going to type SC 5 spacebar, and then you can start, right? So once again, those of you who have a recent Autocad, you're going to type ML spacebar, use the down arrow on your keyboard, and you're going to locate scale, the word scale, and left click that. Then type 5 for your wall thickness, spacebar, and then left click the screen. If you have an older version, you type ML spacebar, SC spacebar, 5 spacebar. Okay, so remember that sequence. Say I'm going to use a 4-inch wall. ML spacebar, SC spacebar, 4 spacebar. Okay, Remember that sequence on the keyboard. Then you just left click screen and you create your walls. So I'm going to add so you're gonna add SC, right? Remember that it's a part of this command sequence. And create these exercises, create these drawings with a 5-inch wall thickness. So you should be able to create each of these in less than a minute. So I'm going to draw the first one here, 8 by 10. Okay, that's using line. Now you're going to do polyline. And now I'm going to do a multiline. There you go. There's your 3 ways of creating a wall. I hope that was useful for you. Create these exercises, repeat until you understand and listen to the key sequences. And that way you remember these. No matter what upgrade you have, you'll never have to worry about locating these commands. Thanks for watching me create these exercises. AutoCAD in action. This is in a minute. I'll see you later. This is Cisco CAD and Ink. Take care.